Hi everybody and welcome to Thursday Chats. It's great to see you and it's great to have you along with us. Wherever you are this evening, please drop us a message. Tell us where you are or what you're at this evening. We'd love to say hello to you. Hello to Catherine already in Yorkshire. She's looking forward to banter.
Good, glad to hear it.
So am I.
Must be Amy who's doing the banter, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. We will refer that to the maker of banter and see what we can do, Catherine.
Yes, our banter department.
If you are at home this evening and you're watching us, please comment, please like, and if you really love this and you want somebody else to see it, share it on your Facebook page. Believe it or not, we can't pay for that kind of publicity, so it would be great if you could help us out.
Can't pay for very much.
We can't pay for anything.
No.
We are. The only thing we are paying for is sweets.
We didn't even pay for those. Sally bought them.
No, I know, but they were great sweets. So
Great,
wherever
wonderful.
you're at, hello mother at home there, good to see you. Dodo, give us a share. That's cheap. That's 40 quid's worth of.
Oh, great stuff.
Yeah, if you're watching Dodo, if somebody is there, you hit the share button.
Bless Dodo.
Who knows what might happen next? And yeah, your week. How's your week been?
My week.
Oh, I'm Alan, by the way.
Are you?
I am.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Alan.
My name's Malcolm.
He's Malcolm.
How are you?
Yeah, and somewhere up there or over here is Amy, somewhere or other. Amy, are you out there?
I am indeed.
She's in the
How's it
fireplace.
going?
Up above the mantelpiece. as
Don't
usual.
get burned on those candles.
Watch yourself.
Yeah. Malcolm, is that a harmonica or a pen you have there? It looks like
It's
you're
a
about to
musical
tweet.
pen. Do you want a tune there, do you?
Aye.
No, I was trying to write something down and then the camera turned on and I was all caught out and I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm getting very confused.
Well, not as confused as Derek is. He's on the glass of red there in Drumcliffe.
Derek's on the red already?
It would be.
Is that the red diesel or the what?
I'm hoping it's the red wine, but anyway, it's not. So that would be an ecumenical matter.
That would, you know.
It would be an ecumenical matter. So great, wherever you are out there, please say hello to us. Please give us a share. Please like the video on the frame that you're watching it in, because that's wonderful. And do you know what? We're streaming to a whole new page today. We're streaming to one of the Selby pages, the Kids Club page, which is where Amy usually lives.
Oh, Kids Club. Oh, wonderful.
Yes,
I watch some of that Kids Club stuff and it's great.
You're a big fan of Dan, the magician.
I do. I like
the magician.
I was going to say Desperate Dan, but he's Dynamic Dan, isn't he? Yes, I like a bit of Dan.
I like his.
Our Amy was on earlier in the week telling a wee story about Mary, wasn't she? I think she was on for a couple of minutes. There was a wee girl dressed up in a costume, wasn't there?
There you go.
Oh, yes, that's
And
my
you had a
pal.
football top on you with a very dubious football team represented on it. There was all sorts going on.
I'll ignore that comment. But yes, we were turning water into wine. It's one of my...
All right, and one of
one
those
my-
jumpers. All right. Is
I think Derek.
that what Alex Ferguson used to do?
If you could organise that for Derek and change some of his water into wine, he'd be very happy tonight.
Well, I did it in school one time, and I think the staff were looking to invite me to the Christmas party by the end of it.
I'd reckon so. That'd be a cheap party.
Thank you to Maria for liking our thing. I know it seems silly. It's not actually for our own vanity, but it helps other people to actually see this, because Facebook is one of those beasts that we don't understand.
I haven't a notion. They just point the camera at me and say talk, and I talk, and that's
I
it.
know, that's all we do, really.
That's all I really
But
do.
anyway, welcome to the Banter Bus this evening. Joyce is in. Hello from Cookstown.
Hello, what do you call her now?
Hi, Mammy.
That's good. Calls her mommy now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to see you this evening. And I was talking to her during the week. It was
You
great.
were.
Hello to Alison. Alison's in tonight.
Hello, darling. How are you?
And Suzanne.
Suzanne, good to see you.
So good to see all of us folk. If you're in Selby and you're watching this on the Kids Club page at this stage, please say hello to us, because you're new people that we don't even know yet.
Yes, indeed.
New people.
New friends.
New friends.
You friends for us.
Friends.
Friends.
It's awful.
I have tried to tell the boys to behave themselves, guys, but, you know,
No, that's
We don't
introduce
do
them to
behave.
the
That's
people
not
that
going to
look at
happen,
the
sorry,
TV.
Amy. It's not going to happen.
Not at all. Anyway, yeah. Amy, did you get up to anything this week? Were you actually able to do anything interesting?
I bought a car the weekend.
I had
A what?
I bought the Kiar.
A Kiar.
a Kiar.
As we say in the North,
Kiar, hey.
Kiar. A Kiar. Oh, good
Was it?
girl. What'd you get? A Bentley, Rolls Royce? What was it?
Oh, the wages aren't that good. I got a Ford Kuga. It arrives tomorrow. So it's very
All
exciting.
sporty.
She's very excited about it.
I would reckon she is. A Cougar.
Cougar.
Lovely.
No idea how to drive the thing, but sure, we'll figure that out tomorrow.
Ah, never worry
She
about
had
that.
no idea how to drive the last one either, but we'll move on.
Yeah, so I heard. So I heard.
It was like a mobile skip.
Was it?
A mobile skip.
With a wheel on every corner, just. That's a great job.
Oh, so good.
Oh, there's jokes about that, isn't there?
There is, but
What do you-
actually,
what do you
in
call a
fairness,
ladder
that
with
wee car,
sunroof?
when I used to go to England for training, sometimes Amy would have lifted me from the airport at Manchester. Do
Right.
you remember when we could go places? Everybody, do you remember when we go places?
I vaguely recollect
Vaguely remember, we used to be able to leave the country, and
Leave the county.
she used to lift me in her C1.
I see one,
A
no less.
C1. I'm not a pixie. And we used
C1 driven by a right one.
to, over Snape Pass.
Oh, yes, I've
Snape
been there.
Pass, isn't that what it's called?
Yep.
I've been there. Yes, I've been there. After
We
dark
hit
in the
some of
snow,
them
it wasn't good.
You weren't ready for your dinner when you got there, I'll tell you
No,
that
I
anyway.
was not. No, ready for lay down.
I beat Alison Wooding to the mobile skip. There you
Good
go.
on you. Well done.
And Graham, you're out there. Good to see you, Graham. Hope you're doing really, really
Good
well.
man, Graham. That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's great to have you along. I hope you're doing well. And you're in our thoughts just at the moment as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember, if you're out there and you're watching, let us know you're watching. We'd love to know that. It really helps all our Facebook stuff. We are shameless at this stage.
We are.
We are, because
We're well known for that.
Sally will beat us later.
Sally, the woman with the big stick.
Yes. Sally does, by the way, actually exist, contrary to popular belief. There was a rumour that we made her up.
She was a fig roll of our imagination, but she's not.
No.
She's a real person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lainey, it's great to have you with
Lady,
us.
hello, darling.
Even I now know to change the names because I can work out which Elaine it is. There we
Good
go.
boy.
There we go. And Hannah's out there tonight, South Wales.
Hello, Hannah.
There we
How are you, dear?
go. And yeah, I was talking to her during the week. She's busy as well. Lots on her plate. Our Spanish friend Bill's in tonight.
Well, hello.
And let me
Hola, I should say.
and David's in from Norway.
David's here. Good to see you, David.
David, did it get any warmer?
I didn't warm up at all for you. I'd
'Cause,
like to know.
yeah, today now it was
Hey, it's
Baltic.
a wee bit high, isn't it?
Baltic. We were here earlier today and we thought we were going to die in the cold.
I'm going to say that.
It's nice and warm now because we put the
It's
oil on.
not bad. A wee bit on the nippy side earlier
Oh,
there.
dear me, circulation. My circulation. Yeah, Graham,
Put my shawl back on.
Graham, you do not live on Craggy Island, whatever you think.
No.
But it is great to have you guys along with us tonight.
It is
It's been
good.
quite the day. What about yourself, Malcolm? What have you been up to?
Not an awful lot. Doing a bit of reading, doing a bit of writing, doing a bit of thinking, doing a bit of talking.
And that's where you're looking strained.
I'm strained.
Strained.
Under strain. Stress and strain. Man my age shouldn't be at this caper.
I got back in the sea yesterday.
That's right. How did that go?
Amazing. Amazing. I had a very sore arm, but the cold water cured it.
Fixed you all up.
It did. It
That's
was
brilliant.
amazing. It was very cold. There were lots and lots of people at Streety yesterday swimming at about 6 o'clock in the evening.
Socially distanced, of course.
Absolutely, and
Oh,
nobody
yes,
was there.
yes.
And by lots and lots, I mean about half a dozen or 8
Packed out.
packed
Oh,
out. But in the
wonderful.
sea,
In the sea. In the sea.
it was
this time of the year.
beautiful. It was so silky and clear and clean.
See these people that get in cold water this time of year. I do not understand it.
I didn't bring my armbands, but I did wear my wetsuit because I'm a bit of a wimp.
Oh, wetsuit.
And only a thin wetsuit. I thought I could give myself a
A
heart
tin
attack.
one, would you not
A
think?
tin one.
Not think wearing one of those, no?
I am not a tin man.
You're not a tin
I
man.
do have a heart or whatever it's meant to be. missing.
Contrary to popular belief.
Contrary to popular belief. Let
Keep
me-
talking, Alan. Keep talking, son. Come on.
Listen, I'm trying to keep up with the things here. It's below 0 and slightly above during the day in Norway.
Oh, David. Ooh.
It's about the temperature of the water yesterday.
Goodness me.
Oh, dear.
You don't do any of that cold water caper, Amy, no? You don't get into cold water and swim about.
Have you?
No,
Except when
definitely
you
not.
forget to turn on the immersion.
Here, you don't leave that immersion on. Someone will be coming at you with a wooden spoon.
The day
No.
that Thomas was born, I remembered to turn the immersion off, leaving the house on the way to the hospital. That's all
lad.
you need to know. That's how well beaten I was of the immersion.
Yes.
Niall Brennan's been cutting the lawn.
Good on you, Niall. Oh, did he get the mower fixed, or is he still pushing it around?
Seemingly the mower is fixed. Although if Derek put down the wine, maybe he could come and sort it out.
He could come and sort the mower. Poor old
Northwest
Niall, he
Grass,
was
very good
struggling with his mower there for a while.
Absolutely.
Things weren't good.
Not good.
I think that there's a video of it somewhere floating about in the ether, isn't there?
I'm sure that Sally will tag it to something or other.
All right, wonderful.
Watching that thing. I'm just confused.com. I'm going to stop reading the comments but anyway.
Right.
So what else? I got back in the water this week.
Yes. You like doing that
I
sort
do.
of
I
thing,
love
do
the
you? You
misery.
like splashing about
I
in the water.
love the misery. It's very good.
No jellyfish or none of that nonsense.
No, I feel
sharks
great. I feel great.
man.
Peter Jones, good to see you in as well.
Peter, my
I will
friend,
do that
how
job
are
I
you?
promised you tomorrow.
you have a wee job to do for
I have a
Peter.
wee job to do for Peter Jones, but Sally's booked and today didn't happen
It was
because...
Sally's fault.
No, it's never Sally's fault. No, never Sally's fault. Amy, is it ever Sally's fault?
It's never Sally's fault.
No, that's what I thought too.
No, never Sally's fault.
Peter told me to say that.
Yes, Derek and Niall, if we could put you in a private room together, you could talk about the robot. That is lawnmower.
All right.
Yes, lawnmower. And David says Shreve Ross is point in July can give you ice cream pains in your head. And
I'm
actually,
telling you, what a bit of brain freeze there, all right.
he is quite right. And I promise you, Peter, that job will be done tomorrow. The praying hands have worked. So I will do it. I've got it planned. I just
Yes,
couldn't
we'll
get
make
organized.
sure he does, Peter. Don't
He
be
will.
worrying.
So, yeah, great to have everyone in tonight. What a crowd.
There's a good crowd in, isn't it?
And
Brilliant.
so good to hear from all of you. Do you know who we're missing tonight?
Who?
Oh, the Florence Court gang.
Where are they? Where are they at?
Where is Mary and
I demand to
Vera
know.
and...
What is occurring? I demand to know
where
what's
are they?
happening there. This is,
I'm hoping they're going to appear at some point.
yeah, they would need to.
They would, or I'd
Or
be
they'll-
very lost.
Or I'd be expecting a note from their mommy saying why they weren't here.
Some kind of an apology, that sort of letter.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. They're in.
They're in. Sally has just announced they're
in.
with us.
Sorry, I missed them. They weren't there.
All right, they're in.
Mary, it's great to see you.
Ah,
And late, it's not late, it's just for
There we
time.
go. Calm has been restored.
Calm has been restored. Everyone else, what are we talking about tonight? Somebody tell me what we're talking about tonight.
James and John, wasn't it? Characters from the Holy Week stories. We're thinking a bit about James and John.
James and John, Sons of Thunder.
Well done, you.
Too many
Yes.
baked beans.
Too many baked beans, yes. And they were a bit too fond of the hinds. That's their nickname they got, Sons of Thunder.
Absolutely.
We'll be talking about that a wee bit. Why they were called that.
Yes, and all that jazz.
Yes.
In the second half.
In the second half. Is there going to be a second half?
I don't
Will they
know.
allow us to have a
when
second
we get
half?
to the break, they may actually pull the plug on us
They
and say,
might,
those
I'm sure.
idiots, there's no way they're
I'm sure
going
we've
back on.
broken too many rules to even think about. Aye, well, I've chat about them.
Yeah, Alison thinks that I should get you in the water. You see, Alison, getting him in
It's
the
not
water...
getting me in,
the
that's
wa-
not the problem. That's never been the problem.
It's always going to have been the getting him out.
It's how are you going to get a crane onto Street Beach to get me out of the water again? That's the thing.
I have a friend in the RNI. Maybe we could organise a boat
Oh, with a winch on it.
with a winch,
There's no way I'm climbing up into that thing.
a
It'll be
chairlift
left. That's the very
on the
thing.
back of a boat.
The very job.
Anyone out there who's got a chairlift in the back of a boat? We have a man who wants to go sea swimming,
No, I didn't say I wanted to go.
who's willing to go,
Didn't even say that.
who might be persuaded to go.
I may be bribed. Yeah.
Stevie, it's great to see you out there as well tonight. Hope
Hello,
Manor
Stevie.
Hamilton's doing well this evening. The price of lamb is what it should be and everything else.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Or he could be gritting. When it's not cold enough, he won't be gritting. He's a man who might visit Florence Court every now and again as well.
All right. Get much colder, they'll be needing the grit.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Keep him in the job.
The very thing.
Anyway, keeping ourselves in the job, it's nearly time for the break. And
That time already.
believe it or not, it actually is nearly time for the break. So we're going to go to the break in a second. I don't know what Sally's got in there, but we'll talk about it. When we come back, I'm going to have another good dose of these particular gelatine-shaped small children in a variety of flavours.
Gelatine infants.
Other brands are available.
Yes.
And
free samples gratefully accepted.
and free any samples gratefully, yeah. To be honest with you, we've decided that Lent has been miserable enough. The year's been miserable enough to be getting into this.
No, we're tackling Lent from a completely different direction
We
this
are
year.
totally new direction.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to. Oh, I'm still putting up the thing. I'm going to eat the jelly babies. We're going to have a
The what?
break.
Gelatine infants. Yes.
Gelatine infants in a variety of fruit-flavored colours.
Yes.
and E numbers.
Yes.
And
Here, P, you never hear that anymore. People giving off about E numbers. You never hear that anymore, do you?
no, we've got enough to give out about.
All right.
David Durand reckons a net might be possible to get you fished out.
What, a trawler?
Bring in a killybegs.
Killybegs trawler might just about grab me.
We'll be talking about fishing later on anyway.
We will, that's true.
And Maria, it's brilliant to have you with us, and we are talking very quickly tonight for somebody who's Spanish, so we'll try and slow it down a little bit after the break.
Sorry, you should visit Tyrone sometime. Do you hear quick talking? You not.
It's the E numbers.
In my brain, I am talking at this speed. That's what I sound like to people from Tyrone. So we'll see how we get on.
Dear. Yes, Derry Chambers has got the drinks trolley on its way around.
Trolley dolly.
And,
Any duty free there, Derek?
yeah, no, don't worry, Mary. We're giving you value for money before the break, just so you know it. And Alison Wooding reckons that the Sons of Thunder must have come from Yorkshire because they weren't backwards, they're coming forwards.
They certainly weren't.
They weren't backwards, they're coming forwards.
They certainly were not.
No.
No back doors there.
Anyway, listen, it's break time. Go and get your cup of tea, and we'll see you after the break. Roll it there, Peter, wherever you are.
Get on the hamster wheel, son.
Guys, pedal faster. Pedal faster. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm still Alan, and he's still Malcolm.
Last time I looked,
Where are we? I ask that question all the time.
we're coming to you live from a chair in the balcony
in Drumcliffe.
in Drumcliffe Church. Yes.
Town
Great
Slide,
spot.
West of Ireland. And we're joined tonight by Amy, who lives on the mantelpiece. Hey, just like that. We won't make any puppet jokes this week.
No.
Good to have you with us, Amy.
Thanks, fellas. Good to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Let me see, I have to get caught up on all the old hi to Rosemary Armstrong. It's good to have you with us.
Hello,
Good
hello.
to see you. And another Florence Court person around for
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Glad they showed up.
absolutely.
I was panicking there.
Vera's in as well.
Great stuff.
And Ashley, I hope that Mummy made you a cup of tea. Yes, because Mary reckons, Ashley says that Mary has to make him a cup of tea because I said so.
We all do what you tell us, don't we?
No.
No.
No. Oh dear. Graham Nunn is getting very excited with you, Amy.
Bless him. We do love Graham.
Yes,
I do love
he
it.
has renamed you Mrs.
Hold
Doyle.
on a second. He's just said that I'm Mrs. Doyle.
Then you should be making the tea.
Yeah, go on, go on.
The only problem
will,
is
you
I
will.
don't think you get the cup to come through the camera
No.
or the television screen.
Pouring all that hot water down that wee wire would be.
It'd be cold before it got here.
It would.
It would. Anyway, we are back. Thank you for those who stuck with us through the break. Hopefully you've got a cup of tea to get through the next bit.
I have, thanks.
And I've just eaten an orange gelatine infant person.
Disgraceful.
Very nice, sweet it was indeed. Anyway,
Thanks for not offering me one.
he has a bag over there. I'm just telling you, but I'm not the only person eating all this. He's not allowed them though. Sure, he's not Alison.
No, I'm being a good boy.
Yeah, you just tell him off.
Honest
Alison.
to goodness, I'm being good. Yeah. Peter's
Anyway.
keeping a tight eye on me here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, back this whole series we've been thinking for Lent, the less miserable Lent.
Yes. Approaching Lent from a different angle, and it's not all about the misery this time. We're trying to look at stories about different people in the Holy Week story and the lead up to Holy Week, and just looking at different characters maybe from a different angle, just to see if there's anything else that we can learn from their lives.
But less low on the misery.
Oh, keep the misery to a minimum.
Life is miserable enough.
Minimum. Yes, minimum of misery.
There's only so much penitence any of us can cope with.
Oh, tell me all about it.
Yes, no, I agree. I agree. Are you feeling penitential there, Amy?
She's looking a bit penitential.
Well, I think maybe the hope of chocolate and maybe persuading you fellas to dress up in some sort of Easter themed costume for some chocolate could be.
Amy, do you remember Christmas?
Do you remember the very, very tight
Do you remember the donkey suit that was
obscene?
Unspeakable.
If it wasn't for this laptop, I'd be in jail.
You would, at the very least.
Well, we could have a spring chick and a farmer,
I was some chick.
Are you thinking that we're going to start sponsoring Easter eggs or something this time?
Well, I'm just throwing the suggestion
What
in
about
there.
Amy dressed up in a suit?
Oh, she could definitely be dressed up in a suit.
I could be the elf on the shelf.
Wrong time of year, dear.
For starting
but
this
it's not
nonsense, it could be a passion play. Guess who's playing Jesus?
I do a good pilot.
Anyway, we'll see about chocolate eggs and sponsored chicken suits and
Pilot and a fishing net, there you go.
lambs and all of the other Easter-related bunnies.
Bunny type stuff.
Anyway, if you are let's have your suggestions about what we could do for
No, please don't.
our Easter. Okay,
Yes,
for those
Easter
who-
shenanigans.
Yeah, in the run-up to Christmas last year, we got people to sponsor tins of celebrations for the local social services kids, and so maybe we could do.
I suppose we could buy a few eggs or something, couldn't we?
Maybe we could do that
Fix
this
them out.
time. I'm sure if that takes traction. Mary Column is straight in. Yes, Easter bunny or chickens.
One of each.
I could dress up like Foghorn Leghorn. That's my boy, I say, that's my boy.
How many Easter eggs do you need to do that?
Quite a lot.
Easter eggs are not that expensive.
Still need quite a lot.
Well, what was it? We had 20 tins of celebrations.
We did.
But then an Easter egg, you could have 3 Easter eggs for the price of a box of celebrations.
So you're talking 30 eggs then, eh?
30 eggs. Not cream eggs. Yes.
No, not the wee dinky ones.
Yes. Okay.
No,
30 eggs for the kids for social services, and there will be chicken suits in Holy Week. Or something.
One of these can come as an egg.
Boiled or poached.
Is that Mary who has a rooster that looks like Leghorn? Oh, Sally has a rooster that looks.
We could bring in a live rooster. Oh, that'd be some crack. Anyway,
James and John were the sons of thunder.
they were.
And James and John are who we're here to talk about tonight.
Allegedly, we
And
were.
at the
yeah.
moment, it feels like we've been rerouted to land this particular plane in an airport in Mallorca.
Uh-huh.
So let's pull it together, folks. James
Yes,
and
we
John.
went badly off course there, didn't we?
Sorry,
James
fellas.
and John.
James and John, two fishermen
Yeah,
from...
Sons of Thunder ate too many baked beans. Part of
Uh-huh.
a bit of a windy problem.
Yes. Why were they named the Sons of Thunder? Why did Jesus call them that?
Well, I'm only asking
There's
the
a good
questions.
Well, you see, Jesus was great at, he gave somebody else a nickname. Remember Simon was called Peter. There's a reason for that, but we'll talk about that the week. We're talking about Peter. I think we're talking about him some week, aren't we?
We are, yeah, and not Peter Jones.
No, not Peter Jones.
Yeah.
No, that man's a legend anyway.
In his own time.
A legend in his own lunchtime. He certainly is. So the sons of thunder, he called them sons of thunder. I think perhaps I have sort of figured out why he called them sons of thunder.
Right, and it wasn't to do with the baked beans.
Nothing to do with Heinz
You're really
beans.
going to let me down now.
Nothing to do with Heinz beans at all, no. James and John, they worked with their father Zebedee. And Zebedee said whenever Jesus came and asked them to follow him, that they left their father, and he had hired men or servants on the boat as well. So it was quite a big operation. And if you do a bit of digging into history books and things, you'll find out that James and John were quite well off.
Like Killybegs fishermen.
Sort of, yes.
Before Brexit.
Now, Peter and Andrew were more your bog basic, standard, working class, two-man operation.
Ah, I see.
See, James and John, I think James and John thought they were a slight cut above the rest of the disciples. And they liked to sort of lord it over them a bit. And they were very opinionated, and I think they were quite proud, quite selfish, liked to get their own way.
Yes. Yes.
You know, there was an example where Jesus was going through a place called Samaria, and the people there weren't exactly what you would call very welcoming. And James and John said, "Oh, Lord, Lord, we're going to call down thunder, we're going to call down fire, we're going to call down all sorts of things from heaven on these people and destroy them, totally destroy them." And that's sort of the way they operated. If they didn't get their own way, or things didn't go the way they wanted them to, it was, oh, just punish everybody, give them a hard time.
A good dose of shouting and roaring.
A good dose of shouting and roaring at them.
On everyone.
We're James and John. We have the right to do that whenever we just feel like it. So
You see an awful lot of that attitude now on Twitter. But anyway, that's another story
yeah,
for
that's
those
another
of you.
story.
Yes, it's like, let's judge everyone and make everyone's life a misery.
Uh-huh.
Amy, would you have people who have met people in life who like to make life a misery?
Oh, yes. Too many.
So
Sure,
you
we'll not do
identify
that.
with James and John.
Pardon?
You identify you identify the James and Johns.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yes. I think most people do, actually.
And Jesus sort of played into that a bit too, because there was what's known as the inner three. There was Peter, James, and John. They seemed to get, whenever Jesus was going away to do something private or something he didn't want everybody to see, he tended to take those three with him.
Like the A-team.
Like the A-team.
Dynamic
Like the
Dan, by
three-
the way, is at home watching at the moment. Hello, Dynamic Dan.
Hello, Dan. Good to see you, my friend.
We gave you an unmerciful plug earlier on.
We certainly did. We definitely did. So anyway, whenever Jesus went up, you know the story of the Transfiguration, whenever he shone brightly.
Put the lights on.
And Peter, James, and John were brought up there. So I think James and John especially, Peter to a certain extent, but James and John thought, oh, we're the special, we're the chosen ones, we're the special boys. You know, and
Special.
that made them a bit proud of themselves. And the sons of thunder, actually, it's interesting. The Hebrew word for thunder is the same as the Hebrew word for voice of God. So the sons of thunder can also be the sons of the voice of God.
Ah, oh.
Who heard the voice of God up on the mountain?
Now that does change the whole dynamic of the old Sons of Thunder from Farty McFart.
So I like that. When they were up on the mountain, they heard the voice of God. So maybe Jesus, at the time he gave them that nickname, he's maybe hinting at what was going to happen to them in the future.
Well, it kind of, it didn't, and they didn't sort of spend their entire ministry career thinking everything that they were so wonderful and that they were getting everything right and that they had the right to punish everyone. Some remarkable things kind of happened in their life
Oh, yes.
to make all of that happen, because it's like, you know, and you're talking about, you know, whenever they get crossed by somebody, they were like calling down on them.
Oh, they were calling all sorts of those. Oh, Lord, let us call down fire from heaven. think they had a bit of an opinion of themselves too that they could actually do that. You know, they called down all this punishment and fire and brimstone and all this sort of thing.
But Amy, life didn't really go on like that for them, did it?
No, not at all. And I think I didn't actually know that, Malcolm, what you said about the voice of God being the same word for thunder in Hebrew. And I wonder if there's an element of they were known as being quite hot-headed, but actually Jesus was calling something of their true identity out. So, you know, yous were created to be people who hear my voice. But yeah, as they journey with Jesus, you know, they go from being these quite arrogant people to John, who wrote the Gospel of John, referring to himself as the disciple who Jesus loved. So his identity was no longer in arrogance and position, but actually in being loved by Jesus. And I think it's something of the humility that Jesus modeled kind of rubbed off on them a bit, and they realized actually we don't know what we thought we knew, but now we know him, so we can trust him.
Yeah.
All that was, a lot of that happened in the early days of Jesus' ministry, but as Jesus' ministry went on, you're right, Amy, they seemed to mellow. John especially seemed to mellow. We didn't hear so much about James, but it seemed to be whatever attitude John had, James would have sort of mirrored that. And as you say, as time went on, they had asked Jesus, oh, could we sit in your right and left hand? One of the Gospels said it was their mother asked for them, could we sit in your right and your left hand?
Yes.
And the throne of heaven, that goes back, that's a Greek thing about God, Zeus. There was two brothers that asked to sit on either side of Zeus as well.
So did you say their mother asked for them?
Their mother asked for them.
So she was obviously an Irish mammy.
Mommy was there. Mommy was there asking, oh, come on, make my boys the best. My boys are the best. There, you stick them up at the top there. But it was interesting that as time went on, as you say, Amy, it came to be John was the disciple that Jesus loved. John sat near Jesus at the Last Supper. And it was James and John and Peter again are all mentioned in the Garden of Gethsemane when things were starting to turn a bit sour and things were going not the way they thought they were going to go. And I think there's a very interesting thing too, that at the crucifixion, it's named that John was there. And it's a strange thing that Jesus said when he was up on the cross. He said to John, he said to his mother Mary, he said, this is your son. And he looked at John and he said to John, this is your mother. So John actually adopted Mary as his mother.
Okay, yes.
You remember that?
I do indeed.
He said, he was telling John, look after my mommy for me.
Kind of connecting the dots at the moment. Yeah.
But Jesus still had brothers and sisters. It's recorded in the gospel that he had brothers and sisters. So why did he give Mary over to John? That's something that's puzzled me. I think he was showing John the amount of trust that he had in him, the level of... He was showing John such a high level of trust. He said, will you look after my mommy for me when I'm not here?
Absolutely.
You know, and I think John responded to that.
Because I think that changes the dynamic of relationship. And it sort of shows the whole transformation piece, doesn't it? From
And I think that changed John, and it changed James as well. And then the whole thing of after Jesus went back to heaven, and 50 days later there was the day of Pentecost, and all that. I think all those things had a profound effect on those men. Whenever they'd asked Jesus, or their mother had asked Jesus about, can we sit in your left and your right hand in heaven? He said to James that you'll share my cup, right? Now, for us in the Christian tradition, the cup is symbolic of Jesus' blood.
yes,
He said to John, you'll share my baptism. Well, baptism, you think of baptism, especially when you think of John the Baptist, and people are putting right, like you were in the sea, put right in underneath the water. Towards the end of both those men's lives, that prophecy came true.
yes,
James was beheaded. And it's recorded in, I think it's Josephus or somebody, one of those old Jewish historians recorded James's death. When James was being led out to be beheaded, he died a bloody death as Jesus prophesied. He was going to be beheaded. What did he do? He wasn't shouting at people.
No.
He wasn't calling down fire from heaven and shouting, God, punish these people. He preached the gospel. He told people about Jesus. Now, it's recorded by Josephus that actually the man that beheaded James, as soon as he had done it, became really remorseful and said that he put his faith in Jesus now as well. So the man that beheaded James actually got beheaded at the same time.
So his actual
was
humility at the end.
You see the difference? From the man that was shouting and roaring, and I want to be sitting on your beside your throne, and I want to be calling down flames and all from heaven. He died a very humble death. Now, he was the first apostle, or first disciple to die. That was about AD 44, something like that. King Herod ordered his execution. John, on the other hand, his brother, was the last disciple to die.
So they almost bookend the ministry.
They bookend the apostles. Mm-hmm. John, this is recorded as well. I think it was Domitian, one of the Roman emperors, tried to kill John. He put John into a big vat of boiling oil. That was one of the ways they used to torture Christians and kill them. John was totally submerged in the oil. Remember Jesus said about the baptism?
Yes.
He was dunked in the oil, but he survived that. And then he was sent to a place in Greece called Patmos. And he was a slave laborer there, and he lived to a good old age. They reckon, I think he got off Patmos and maybe went to Ephesus or somewhere, but he died, they reckon he was nearly 100 when he died.
Okay.
So as you said, it bookended. James was the first and John was the last, and also that voice of God thing comes back when you think of what John did. John was the one that was told the revelation and wrote the book of Revelation, and the revelation of Jesus Christ.
And he was the last of them.
He was the last, and Jesus came to him very near the end of his life and told him what the end days were going to be.
There has been quite a lot of people engaging with some of this stuff. Amy, if you're there, it'd be great if you can appear with us magically on the fireplace. Look at that. We're getting better at this. Alison was wondering about, whenever we think about this, do we think of the Neil Diamond song? You're too young to remember who Neil Diamond even is.
Neil who?
Mr. Bojangles, when they see that Jesus called James and John Boanerges. Yes, there you go.
Boanerges, there's something there in that song, there is. I've heard that before.
Hannah wrote a quote from John MacArthur, book about the disciples. Still courageous, zealous, and committed to the truth, he, James, had apparently learned to use those qualities for the Lord's service rather than his own self-aggrandization. That's a dyslexic nightmare of a word. But
they were proud and they were selfish, and then they still had that bit of spirit in them, that bit of grit in them, but they were using it for a different reason. They weren't thinking of themselves anymore.
Absolutely, and the passion thing is the thing in that. And I mean, that because again, Hannah brings another little quote about John. He had always been zealous and passionate for the truth, but now the Lord was teaching him to love. And I think, isn't there, Amy, something powerful in being able to love and that humility piece working hand in hand? Because we were thinking about a piece of scripture earlier on about Jesus. I'm going to stop talking now because actually I'm meant to be asking questions. But about that whole thing about how God became man. We thought about it at Christmas and incarnation and all of those sorts of things. How actually totally God, and yet.
Yeah. And it's the whole piece, like originally, with the desire to call down fire, and they wanted that authority. They wanted the authority without the responsibility for the people that they were wanting to call down fire on. They wanted the authority without the cost of leading these people. But what we know of them later on, it's more reflective of that passage in Philippians where it talks about Jesus, and it says he, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but rather took on the form of a servant. And you can see their complete shift in leadership. Like, yes, they were always passionate. Yes, they probably always had that call of leadership on their lives. But actually, that needed refined. That almost needed put through the fire of doing life with Jesus day in, day out, and not understanding what he was saying.
Like the rest of the
And really,
disciples most of the time. Yeah.
yeah, like all of us. Huh? But learning that humility piece from Jesus when they saw and were engaged with that process of Jesus washing the disciples' feet, like that was the role of the lowest servant in the house. Yet
And not a
Jesus
Jewish
did it.
servant. A Jewish servant wouldn't have done that, washed somebody's feet.
So
It'd be a Gentile servant.
I like being a gentleman. So,
You're right.
but in the whole Lent piece then, because like we've been talking about how we're not trying to do miserable Lent, penitential Lent maybe, or we're doing it from a different perspective. But actually, when you think about that, when you think about James and you think about John, and you think about that whole process of their lives that you've shared so eloquently on, and you've kind of illustrated in terms of the Jesus piece, it's like there's something really special for us in a season of kind of journeying to Easter and trying to do Lent in a different way that actually makes us really encounter the love of Jesus alongside humility in our own lives, and how we do life as Christians is that thing of being refined, as you say, Amy, in the experiences of life. And goodness, Malcolm, we've spent so many days and nights here talking about some of the most difficult often of those in people's lives, and also some of the most joyful things in people's lives, and yet they shape really powerfully people's ways of doing.
These men engaged with Jesus. They followed Jesus. They watched Jesus. They listened to Jesus. We can do that too. We can do that through prayer. We can do that through reading our Bibles and reading the story of Jesus. And John, known as a hot-headed, selfish, proud man, by the end of his life was known as the Apostle of Love. You read his 3 letters. Just before the book of Revelation, there's John 1, John 2, John 3. The main theme running through the first 2 anyway is love for God and love for each other.
Yeah.
So that man's contact with Jesus, that man's, as you say, journeying with Jesus, transformed him.
Yeah.
And I think we're not doing misery this Lent, we're not doing penance this Lent, but maybe we could all reach the end of these 6 weeks slightly transformed, slightly changed. Where there is, I know myself, I've consciously tried this Lent to try and increase my humility a bit more, and transform myself. And Peter and these 2 men speak to me about that, about how getting close to Jesus, following Jesus, watching Jesus, listening to Jesus can bring you a great sense of humility.
Yeah.
Those 2 men, humility, people I think misunderstand humility. John was a very, very courageous, a very brave man, a very committed man, as was James. James walked out to what he knew was going to be his death, his head held high, but he still was humble amidst it. He was humble. He was resigned to what he was doing, but he knew that what he was doing was for the greater good. It was for God. He wasn't calling down fire because he knew this is the way it was going to be. This is the way it had to be.
And in doing that, he presents testimony that is believable.
And here we are 2,000 years later still talking about it, about the grace that man had at the end of his life.
Totally. Catherine and Mary are both absorbed in James and John with you, Malcolm. And I think, in fact, and even the whole thing around Jesus trusting Mary to John has got lots of people thinking about.
That, you know, but it's recorded. We can see it in the Gospels. Jesus had brothers and sisters. Why were they not there? Why did he not say, "Oh, I know I'm the eldest, but you have to take over now"? I think another James was the next brother in the family.
Totally. And I mean, I think, Amy, it's a familiar one. You know, he wanted the authority without the cost of or responsibility. You know, at the beginning, he wanted authority. He was calling down things from heaven. And Amy, you are passionate. I've heard you talk about this lots of times. You know, and they're like, you know, he's calling down things from heaven and he's cursing people and all those sorts of things. And actually, that's just authority, thinking you can do the thing. But actually, the cost and is actually the responsibility of living the life. He wanted
the authority without paying the cost, without paying the price for that authority.
Yeah, and without.
By the end of his life,
that had completely flipped.
He had the authority to write the book of Revelation and to send epistles to different people, but he was such a humble, gentle, loving man by the end of it.
Yeah.
Because he'd paid the price and he'd journeyed and he'd transformed and he'd...
Totally. Amy, there's a quote, isn't there, on C.S. Lewis one on humility that
Yes.
You are a passionate proponent of.
I just love a bit of C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis once said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. And, you know, it's tied in with that apostle of love thing around John, because one of the things that he wrote was how great a love that the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called the children of God, and that is who we are.
Totally.
And it's not saying, you know what, actually I don't matter, but it's saying, you know what, I am loved, I am fully loved by God, Jesus knows my name, and therefore, let's go.
And where do you find these famous words, for God so loved the world? John's Gospel.
John's Gospel.
John was the one that recorded that.
Folks, at the risk of not, so we've now been rerouted from Palma and we are going to actually land in Drumcliffe again, which is good, and we are running over. But folks, I want to thank you for sticking with us tonight. I've learned loads of stuff tonight, and Amy and Malcolm, I want to thank you for that. It's been really good, really, really good, and people at home are really engaged in what we've been talking about. Does somebody want to pray? And
Well, I pray this week and you do the blessing this week. That thing will swap around this week.
Right, so what's happening?
I'll say a short prayer and you just finish off with a short blessing for us, will you?
Yep, that sounds good.
Oh, we're smooth and slick operation here. I just have a quick prayer. It's a prayer for transformation. I just wrote out today. What are you laughing at?
Derek Chambers says there's fog on the runway. There is fog on the runway. We're just kind of, we'll get there. We'll get this plane on the ground. Sorry.
All right.
Go for it.
It's all right. The plane's running on red diesel. We're all right.
And a robot lawnmower.
It's cutting the grass up the sides of the runway. We're all right. I will just finish with this prayer. I know we're running over time. It's just a prayer for transformation in Lent. Loving Father, I welcome you afresh. We welcome you afresh. Or for some of us, maybe the first time we've welcomed you into our lives. Help us to become all that you want us to be seeking your will. And just like James and John, help us to become living examples of your love in the world. Open our hearts to the areas of our lives that need to change in order for us to do and to be what you would have us to be. And so we can experience the joy you've set out for us. Show us, Lord, how we can serve you in our homes, in our families, in the places where we live. Give us courage when we are afraid, hope when we're discouraged, and wisdom in times of decision. So, Father, let us be transformed by the renewing of our minds to know your will, which is always good and pleasing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So, just before we do the blessing, I just want to say those words again from one of John's letters. How great a love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called the children of God. And that is who we are. So may the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again unto our doors. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Amy.
Folks, thank you both. Thank you, everybody at home. You have been brilliant tonight.
Thanks very much.
Absolutely brilliant. And it's so lovely to see you all interacting and commenting. So, Maria, good night to you, and thank you for your comments as well there. And the fog hopefully is clearing and is playing, and we'll get to the terminal, but please do not take off your seatbelts until we have come to a full
See
stop.
the no smoking signs?
Hannah, have a good night. Joyce, have a good night. Bill, have a good night. Catherine, have a great night. And hopefully they might come to rescue us at some stage. And it's been so good. Can we, before we go, if you are watching this on Facebook, can you please like the post before you go, on not just in the comments but on the actual post on Facebook? It really means next week when we do this that the stuff gets out to people quicker.
And Peter will be very happy.
Peter will be very happy, and Sally won't beat us. So if you could do that, that would be absolutely brilliant. Hi, Ellie from Selby. I believe we were waiting on a Selby. Hello, Ellie from Selby. Well, we had Dan as well.
We had Dan,
if
yes.
you're there, good night to you as well. Folks, it's been a great night. Next week we are talking about...
I think we might give Judas a rattle.
Judas.
Now, there's a man that doesn't get mentioned much. I think there's things we could actually learn from him as well.
Okay, Judas.
Not to copy him, maybe things would... But there'll be lessons for us there, I think.
Judas it is. So back next week, 8:30 for Thursday chats next Thursday night. Amy's going to be here, I think. Myself, yeah, and we're back for that. Wednesday Wobble next Wednesday.
We love a good wobble.
1 o'clock.
We love a good
I
wobble.
cannot believe the people who gather at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday to watch Wednesday Wobble or watch it back through the week. News from the Sligo champion. We might get an impartial reporter whenever the old lockdown lifts.
Oh, yes.
And look at the local news stories and chat about what that means. 10 minutes Wednesday at lunchtime. Recenter 8:30 on Sunday. No, 10:30 on Sunday morning.
8:30, I'll not be out of my bed.
No, I wouldn't. 10:30 Sunday morning Recenter. Messy Church online.
Oh!
2:30 before
Am I going to
the
get
rugby
abused again,
Sunday
Emma?
afternoon.
Oh, dear.
We'll be done for kickoff.
We will, promise.
We mightn't be done for the anthems, but we'll be done for
Promise.
So great, looking for that. And Hannah's looking forward to next week already.
Good stuff.
Have I done all the promos? I can't even remember what
I
I'm
think you've done
Sally will
most.
put it on Facebook. Just follow it and click and like. And the more you do on Facebook, the
It'll be
happier
grand,
everyone
it'll
is.
be grand.
And if you're on YouTube with us today as well, please comment on YouTube. We do pick up your comments. They don't come as quick. But if you are on YouTube with us, please do that. And please like it on YouTube. And if you want to subscribe to any of the channels we stream to, that's also really helpful.
Good man, Alan.
There we go.
And breathe.
And breathe. Good night to everybody. Bless you all wherever you are. And we'll see you next week.